We're ready. Passing it. Transitioning now.
Transition to the transition.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Oh.
Welcome in. We haven't done an online episode in a quite some time.
Yeah, we have not.
Usually it's because winter in Chicago.
Yeah, it was only because of that, but this time around, scheduling permitted, I had to make sure that the pooch had some, who's now a sleepy pooch. You guys might be able to get a peek in the background of sleepy pooch back here, but
peeking at sleepy
gotta make
pooches.
sure that she gets some love because Elaine's out of the apartment tonight, so she's on her own adventures. What's going on, guys?
Oh! Welcome in, everyone. For those of you guys who are brand new here, and there's a lot of new people in here, this is the Exp Talk Show, a science-fueled talk show I do usually weekly with my buddy Lee, R2 Lee 2. You can see his name handle there on the bottom. Smile real big for the camera, please.
So I'm trying to keep an eye on the stream, like on a different webpage, and just the delay has to probably be the the funniest shit.
It's like 12 seconds.
It really is, but it's like it is funny, and I encourage those out there that think they're being too goofy, whether it's on their own streams or just in life in general. I say embrace the shit out of that, dude. Like, just
Thanks,
be
man.
Goofy, be weird. You know what I mean?
Just be yourself and use your green
for
screen to ask for more pictures of Spider-Man.
I don't have a green screen background, or do I?
Oh,
maybe that's the question.
Shit.
Maybe that's the question. Maybe I just digitally created this little tiny room that's behind me. So
CG'd the dog in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys will never know. You guys will never know.
But yeah, welcome in, everyone. So usually what we do is we talk, we catch up over the course of our past week or so. This show is pretty much designed to, like, we do quite a few things here. We talk about science, of course. We each bring an article that we want to talk about. And, a tarticle. That sounds like a new particle.
It's probably some sort of term in scientific terms.
A tarticle.
A tarticle.
But yeah, we go off on we bring a scientific topic that we're passionate about, or maybe it's not scientific related, it's political or philosophical, whatever it is, and then we talk about it, and then we usually go off on tangents. Before we do that, though, we always introduce each other, and then we talk about our past week and maybe some new stuff that we did, and bless you, child. And yeah, so it's a pretty loose form talk show, just because, you know, that's how we are as people. Like, we like to have it like a conversation. During this time period, all the alerts are muted so that we don't get distracted, because me and Lee both have ADHD pretty bad. It's part of the reason why the show's so great, and also a huge reason why we turn the alerts off, because if those alerts go off and any sounds go off, if any of the alerts go off, it tends to derail what we're talking about, and then we kind of have to reset. I know it sounds like a weakness, but it's a strength. I promise you. You guys will enjoy it.
Dude, we take it to our advantage, man.
Yeah.
What's
but yeah,
going on, guys? I see a couple of highs in there. That's awesome.
But let's get started. So I'm Conkey Donk 64. You guys are familiar with me. Lee, why don't you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about it? I don't know if you guys can tell. This man's got an amazing beard.
Oh gosh.
But that's not his identity. Listen to this fucking man's voice. It's buttery. Listen.
Hey everyone. My name is Lee.
All right, that's all I got. So, my name is Lee, R2 Lee 2, as you can see on the bottom. I am remote from Steve. Steve and I live in just different cities around Chicago, so we're kind of doing a little bit of a remote location episode tonight. But you guys are all hanging out, which is super rad. I know Steve has got like a really awesome following, so like it's really cool to see the community building kind of what we came from with this little show that we've kind of developed. I just remember Steve, like every time we would do the show, like during the beginning stages, and we would just urge like people to just get like 5 people in there, right? We would so want 5 people, maybe 10 people if we were lucky. right? As I'm sure some of you people out there are trying, right? So so because of Steve's awesome like setup that he's got and awesome consistency for the show
and unemployment
and us
let's not forget unemployment. That's been a great it's been a blessing and a curse.
Sometimes that can help, but just like not only that, but just like Steve's awesome personality really feeds, and as you guys can tell from watching the show, it's like Steve's personality really kind of draws you in. So I'll try to hold up to that standard to a degree. So I'm really excited to have a good show tonight, even though it's remote. Sometimes when Steve and I are together, because we've been friends so long, sometimes it's like a totally different vibe. But like, I think this is like a good compromise, just in case if we can't be in the same cockpit, let's say, right?
Yeah.
The same Millennium Falcon cockpit. Let's go with that.
The same cock.
So I'm Lee. R2 Lee 2. Ready to hang out, ready to talk science, dude.
Let's fucking go, dude.
But we gotta talk about our weeks, you know that.
Yes. Of course. I want you to go first, because you've been the busy bee. Okay. While I have some stuff, but I think you've got a lot more to say. So I want you to start off. What's your past week or so been?
My life is like just a hot jumbled mess of excitement and energy. Gosh, the last week, so we couldn't do the show last week because my dad was in town. Mm-hmm. So we went so my dad he moved down to Huntsville, Alabama. Total like space country, which is awesome. So he tells me all of like the NASA facilities that are down there and stuff like that, which is just like super cool. But so he moved down there probably about a year and a half, 2 years maybe. So he came up with his little loved one because they were going to a conference somewhere. So like we went to the old, Mexican restaurant that I used to go to when I was a kid. Just like lots of margaritas.
Yeah, lots of margaritas.
Had lots of margaritas.
Burritos.
There's Pup. You can hear Pup.
Enchiladas.
So, had that. I had a chimichanga because chimichangas are the best goddamn food on the planet. So had a chimichanga. So. That was last week. Last week also consisted of like some more wedding planning and just getting some solid stuff on, working to down to the wire. Elaine and I celebrated. It's going to be 2 months as of 3 days ago. 2 months until the wedding.
Damn.
Which is just like weird, but also very exciting. You know what I mean? Because Steve, I know we're just gonna have just the most fun, during that day, 2 days of adventures. I really cannot wait for it. And so, but there's that kind of nerve of am I missing something, or is something going wrong, or what am I gonna do? But I think I'm pushing through, just going on autopilot, just finishing some stuff, and actually, I got a sneak peek. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready for the sneak peek.
All right, real quick. Okay, so real quick, just had to show you guys. So we made some paper flowers as little decorations, right? So Elaine had some paper flowers made out of some hymns, some church hymns that her family really was pretty close to. And because I'm not very religious, I like Star Wars a lot, so I found a Star Wars coloring book, and we made little paper flowers out of a Star Wars coloring book.
Wait, hold it still so we can see some of that. There's Chewbacca. You can see him perfectly.
Yeah, you can see little Chewie right there, right?
That's fun. That's fucking awesome, dude.
Isn't that cool? It's just little paper flowers. So these are gonna be little accents throughout the wedding. So she's got some, and I thought what better way just to celebrate subtly my love of Star Wars, but to make little tiny flowers out of Star Wars coloring books. So,
no kidding, that's awesome.
So we were doing that a lot this weekend, just finalizing some details there. Watched a couple of bad movies. Watched a couple of good movies. And I don't know, man. I'm just ready for Saturday. I'm just ready for the weekend,
dude. Ready to
just relax, kick it, and just decompress a little bit. You know what I mean? Work is kind of stressful. Just exploring options out there and stuff like that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear back from Half Acre?
I did. They moved on.
Damn.
I know it's a bummer, but shout out though. Hey, listen, Half Acre Beer Company, Chicago, Illinois. So sick.
Please sponsor us.
Right?
How can you not sponsor the
actually-
Sausage King of Chicago, bros? Come on, man.
For real. With like the best craft beer in Chicago. Let's be real. So we're not sponsored. But anyway, so yeah, haven't heard, but still working on it. I'm having conversations. Still we'll see.
Planting the seed.
Planting the seeds, man. I just gotta get this face in there. Right?
Yeah.
I just gotta get this face in there and just be like, you need to hire this.
Dude,
Okay.
I'm excited for you to get the time for like your fucking voice acting, because I feel like that as soon as you do that shit, you're just gonna be like employed.
Dude, I know I've talked about this a lot, but like, you know, when you have the passion, right? You live your life to find a passion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like that's it. I think so. After the wedding, after the honeymoon, I'm going like full fledged, just like balls deep. I'm still gonna like try to find a job, just keep steady income and stuff like that, but just like balls deep into that kind of creative stuff. Because like, you need to express yourself. You need to find your creative outlet. I encourage everybody out there to find their creative outlet, whatever it fucking is. And the only way you're gonna find it is by finding things that you're passionate about, and things that just get you moving. Whether it's you play the ukulele, then play the ukulele professionally. Like, go find out a way to just play it professionally. So, like,
well, you practice enough, it becomes a profession because you're mastering it.
That's exactly it. You know, so, like Steve. So let's say, you know, you could get any job in the world, like your ultimate passion, right? What would you think that would be? Daisy, chill. Bro.
Well, streaming is like, I know streaming would be fucking amazing, but the idea for this would be like the streaming as a portfolio for like a talk show, or being like a authentic person for esports, or like a podcast. That would be really cool. Just because when it comes down to like what I see online and what people do often, it's very much this like facade of like what people want esports to be, because electronic sports, like gaming sports, like Overwatch League, it's like, hello, my name is Billy, and we're gonna watch this team go against this team, and like, oh, I can't wait for that, Charles. That's gonna be fucking crazy, bro. But like, nobody talks. I don't know. It's not authentic, and like, I don't know. I really would like to add a little bit more authenticity and intricate nature to the whole thing.
Yeah. It really like a lot of the esports stuff is what's very funny and ironic about the esports industry. And like, this is obviously not going to be a tangent or anything like that, but like, the esports industry has turned into what the rest of the sports industry is like. Mm-hmm. Ironically, because like gamers used to be like nerds against the jocks kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's almost become like the same kind of market, which is like super fascinating. But
yeah, well, it's like they can only mirror what they have off of, like, instead of trying to pioneer something new and different in how they talk about things, they literally base it off of something that's already established. So it's like, it's the whole tribal knowledge thing we talk about, where it's like, how do we do this? Well, let's look at what's already been done, and yes, we should be copying them verbatim.
Yeah,
because it's sports. It's got sports in the name. It's like, no, that it doesn't need to be like that. It can be.
How neat is that?
But it doesn't need to
like,
be.
It has to fall into the same kind of category. So like, they feel like they have to do it the same way. So I wouldn't be so, you know, I mean, like, I think we've seen this where it's like they have like big sponsorships like Honda or Toyota or
now they
something
do
like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so crazy. But that's not the topic of tonight. So we're not going to get into that. We don't have to do that. So yeah, but that's cool. So you want to be kind of like in that esports industry.
Yeah, I mean, streaming would be amazing. Like, as I've been streaming more and more, and you've seen the stream evolve more and more. I get to be authentically myself. I get to do a lot of charity work now. Dude, we'll talk about it during my week. Yeah, it's been really cool just being able to spread awareness, have authentic conversations with people, share experiences, and then like try to flex my comedic muscles, because like that's probably been the funnest thing.
What doesn't, right? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Like I spent I stayed up till like 2:30 this morning trying to figure out how the Spider-Man scene that I made today would work. You know, like I was just like trying to piece it together. I'm like, what can I can't use the cartoon, because it's like, I feel like if I did the cartoon, it would remove you from like the stream, because none of my other stuff is really cartoony. Yeah. So like, thank God fucking the guys who are making the new Spider-Man game posted that meme picture with the 3D rendering of everything, because it fucking, I was like, oh, I can put my name on there, and then it just started like going off, and I fucking
perfect.
made it. And then now I'm just, you know, I changed my currency in the channel for like the longer you stay, the more pictures of Spider-Man you get. And like when people come in, I get to explain it to them. I'm like, I need more pictures of Spider-Man, and I like, I love doing that shit. It's just fun.
It's entertaining, man. It's like it's super dope.
Yeah.
It's so good, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, man. It's
So
been...
tell me about your week. Like, yeah, tell me about your week. So we got some passions in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so over the course of a week and a half or so, I've been getting a lot more support online thanks to all the wonderful people on my team. All you guys, this is honestly like the biggest amount of people we've had for the XP Talk Show ever. Prior to this, we had around like 25, 26 people. There are roughly, I can't tell,
17,000 people.
17,000 people in here, so that's super exciting. But over the course of our time off, I played through the entire BioShock series. All of it. BioShock 1, 2, Infinite, and then the DLC.
You played all of it?
All of it. I played through all of it.
That's a lot of BioShock.
Yes. Dude, everybody loved it. It was awesome. I loved dude,
awesome.
The third game, like, okay, because I revisited the series for a reason. It was just like, okay, well, I finished playing Bloodborne again. I beat that game in like 2 weeks or whatever. I beat the game twice in like a week and a half or so, and I wanted to play another dystopian game, and then people were like, oh, BioShock's a great game, I haven't seen that. And I'm like, okay, cool, so we'll play BioShock 1, and then I was like, what do you guys want to do? You guys want to keep playing through the series? So I played BioShock 1, played BioShock 2, and then when we got to Infinite, I had forgotten that whole game deals with like string theory and parallel universes and all this shit. And so like seeing it with the filter of having done the science talk show and reading about like particle physics and like all this other shit and like just nerding out the entire time. And then the DLC goes further into that. And fucking one of my mods bought the DLC for me. So
shit, really?
Because I never played the DLC. He's like, dude, here's the code. It was $5. Just fucking play it. Like, you gotta play this. That's amazing. And so it ties it back to the entire first game. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but even though it's like 4 years old or some shit. But
that's crazy.
It's amazing. And then we're playing through LA Noire, which was another game that Josh bought me. Another one of my mod bought me, and it was $5. I was like, what do I play right now? And he just like whispers me the fucking code, and I'm like, see, I don't ask for this shit, and you guys have just been here fucking supporting me and just cheering me on the whole time, and it's been crazy. That's primarily it. And then what else? Oh, I saw Thor Ragnarok for the first time.
Oh, what did you think?
It was great. It was a great movie.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, the comedy was on point. I'm glad they didn't have like movie music bullshit in. It was like classic soundtracks like Guardians.
And it was just like it's like it knows exactly what it is, and it's like all goofy and stuff like that. So I love that movie. I thought it was like a good so the director of Thor Ragnarok did What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Awesome. And you could tell like all the elements that he brought from that, where it's just kind of this real life comedy almost, you know. It's
yeah, because like it's I love how to us like it's the idea is that the universe is completely normal for them, but like to us the comedy is that it's normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it's so absurd. Like, and then the guy I can't remember his name. He's the New Zealand guy, the guy who's like, we're werewolves, not swearwolves. He's the Rock guy.
Yes. He's the director too. That's the director that does the voice of that guy.
Really?
Yeah. That's
oh my god, I had no idea.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god.
Look it up. I ain't lying, bro. But
wait,
now I really want to watch that. Yeah.
Wait, somebody resubbed? Wait, who did?
Somebody did?
Starbucks chick.
I think I saw
Thank
it
you.
earlier. Yeah. Righteous.
Wait, who resubbed? Did I miss it?
Got some good adventures. I think I saw it like peeking on the stream, but you got your flexing picture as your what you call it, your
no, it's not every time. The longer you sub, the more pictures and stuff happen. So I wanted to keep changing it up.
I think I saw that 3 months. I think Starbucks chick at
3 months is right? Me flexing.
Dude, that's so flexy.
That way people are like, oh dude, I want to see that picture again. Because you guys are fucking weird. Mags resubbed? Are you talking about Greedy Mag? The Greedy Magpie?
We can go back in the chat here. Let me see.
Because I can't see that.
No, Starbucks chick. Yeah. Righteous. Shout out to you.
Strong hands, yo. She wants to see my strong hands. I'm working on a scene right now for you, Starbucks chick.
Look at these strong hands. Look at these strong hands. Can I tell you something weird?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something weird? So I was cooking up some dinner last night, right? Spicy bacon wrapped chicken breasts.
Nice.
And a side of like roasted Brussels sprouts and bacon bits, right? Super yum, right?
Yeah, super yum.
So I'm roasting the Brussels sprouts in the oven in a pan, and my dumbass, brings the pan out onto the stovetop to like shake it up, and I grab the fucking pan with my hand.
I've done that so many times.
So stupid, right?
Not stupid.
I'm like, I mean,
it's dumb.
You're not supposed to do that.
But it's part of the impulsiveness of having ADHD. It's the amount of times I burn my fucking hand picking up hot shit. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
I don't remember that this was in the oven. So I pick it up and I'm like, I probably burned my hand like pretty bad, right?
Did you ice it?
And so like it was sore. I ran it over some cold water and stuff like that. And then lo and behold, my hand perfectly fine today.
Nice.
So
that's good.
I am confident that I have a healing factor.
Confident, yeah.
That I am the mutant of all mutants.
Not that you treated it properly and let go quick enough.
No. So I encourage you guys that like you have to worship Wolverine enough and you will gain the powers of the Wolverine.
You just gotta worship him.
You gotta worship the Wolverine.
Superpowers, poggers.
There was a slight moment where I was just like, I should have a burn on my hand. But
yep.
That's beside the point. ADHD is a magical thing.
Magical. Takes you down a magical avenue.
So, gosh, what were we talking about?
My week.
You covered your week? Yeah. What else you got?
So after that,
for us?
We started playing LA Noire, which is a hilarious game.
I was watching you play it. It's got some like really cool animation. Like I respect their like facial animation for.
Well, it's acted. They acted out, and then they also motion capped the entire thing. Awesome. So it was the first game to do that. It was supposed to be like next gen or whatever. But the game is really funny because like the interrogation process sometimes goes from like 0 to 100. Like I was talking to this dude I just met back at the police station because he wanted to talk about something, and like there was this notebook that I found at the crime scene of this abandoned vehicle, and so like it was part of the evidence that I needed, but like the way your character approaches some things is just blunt and fucking crazy. Like so he's looking at his notes and like writing, he's like, so you fuck little boys? Like, what the fuck?
Does it really say that?
Yeah, he says that. I was like, the entire chat was like freaking out. They were like, what the fuck? Like, you fuck little boys, Mr. Rodriguez or whatever? And everybody was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like,
that's
what?
Crazy.
Yeah, so the game doesn't fuck around. And it's also really cool to see just how the 1950s, like, archaic shit happens. Like, they talk about, like, wives and fucking women and all this other weird stuff that's like...
Mad Men status?
Yeah, well, I never really watched Mad Men.
It's kind of a
similar thing. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So it's kind of jarring to see, but it's also... I was talking about how... Because Bioshock Infinite touches base on this stuff because it's like 1912 in those games, and there's a lot of racism and, like, you know, they use racist words and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's cool and jarring, but it's like it's a nice reminder of like how far we've come as well, and also how that stuff doesn't like belong in the present.
Yeah,
makes sense. And so like it was really cool. It was like a very stimulating conversation starter, and like a lot of people have been enjoying that. But besides like video games and stuff, I had my third job interview yesterday.
Hell yeah. The same company? Like third of the same company?
Third of the same company.
There you go.
And it went very well. I'm hoping I hear back from them. Dude, their office is insane. Like, it's like what you would think a weird startup company would be. Like, it's open fucking building. They have swings and shit hanging from the ceiling.
That's the new hotness.
Frozen pizza. Like, just grab what... If you don't bring your lunch, you just make a frozen pizza. They had a pizza oven. They had, like, an ice cream freezer that's got ice cream 24/7. It was they did like a whole building tour, and I was like, is this fucking real? Am I getting punked right now? Is Ashton Kutcher like, we interviewed you 2 times, you're a fucking sucker for coming here, we just make toilet paper and all these people are actors, and then everybody claps and I leave.
But dude, like a lot of companies are getting to that route. Like you know, for those of us potentially looking for outside opportunities, right? So, you know, like finding these jobs, like there's a lot of companies that are starting to build that environment that's just centered around like making it hip and cool to like work, because a desk job in a cubicle is a nightmare.
Yes.
I've never done it. I've done something similar to it. Thankfully, I've never been in like a full-on position like that, but like,
yeah,
I couldn't imagine just being in a cubicle sitting down at a computer all day, not only from a health standpoint, but just from like an energy standpoint, an interactive standpoint, and like all that kind of stuff. So like,
right.
it's very, you know, I'm very happy that there's more and more companies that are building that kind of environment where it's like super modern and like, you know, my fiance's company that she works for downtown Chicago is just like, it's just like the hippest. Like, yeah, we're gonna go, you know, it's 3-4 o'clock, we're gonna go to happy hour, we're just gonna go grab a drink, and I'm just like, what is that life like?
Dude, they had beer and coffee on tap.
Like, come on. What a cool
I don't get it. Like, how do you get anything done with all this shit around? Like, I mean, I get it. Right? I get how you get it done, because there's freedom and like it's like you trust the individual to put the work in and all that other shit. But at the same time, it's like, this is not like, this isn't the when you describe the work on paper and then you look at the place you do the work in, you'd assume that it's gonna have some sort of like connection in some place, shape, or form, and it had none whatsoever. And I was like, I left the job, like, when I was gonna go there, I mean, I was like, okay, first of all, if I go here and this place looks fucking like I'm gonna be bored or understimulated, like, I can't take the job, because I won't work hard. That happened at my last job to a certain extent, but I was forced due to the stress of the job to continue or be fired. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a leisure thing I could do. But yeah. And just a really quick favor for anybody who's in the chat. We disabled the alerts and stuff, so normally this stuff is going off. Any new person coming in, Riley, you're doing an amazing job. Jordan, any of my the people that have been here, like Christy, if anybody is not busy, if you could just explain that to them when they come in, and also welcome in any new people, like follows and alerts and stuff like that. That would be really fucking great. Yeah. And then we can
there's been a couple of people that are just like asking us questions that are just like really quick answers, so much appreciated for those that are helping out with the stream. Truly much appreciated. Again, a very weird sensation that we have people that are like helping out with it, like with the chat, but it does not go unnoticed for sure. So you guys are amazing.
Right.
Just as long as is that a dab? That's not a dab, is it?
It's a dab, yeah.
I don't want that.
Nope. It's from my friend Drew. He's great. Hi, Logic.
All right, Drew. Respect, Drew. Love you. No dabs.
Okay. Are you looking at the chat right now?
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah.
Okay, here, hold on. I've got one for you that you should see.
It's gonna be a dab, isn't it?
No, it's not. I'm not. I will never have it.
Yep, Joe Bash with the dabs.
It's this combination.
Like, it's just okay. See, that is what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, I guess I asked for this. I understand. It's just weird because like I kind of like I know what
you want to talk about dabs right now. Let's talk about dabs.
Let's get into this really quickly here. So I know what it is, and I understand. Okay, Riley, respect. That's really funny. So I understand what it is. Okay, I almost feel weird ever doing it, but it's very much like one of those newly developed I'm too old for this kind of gestures, right?
It hits you in your stomach, right?
It hits you in that, like, I'm 30 years old and I shouldn't be doing this, you know? And so, like, and it's like, go for it. Like, if kids want to do it, go for it. Like, it's the same thing. So, like, at my job, I teach kids to use technology a lot, so it's super fun. So they will dab a lot. Kids, like 8 years old, 9 years old, they'll dab and they'll do the floss dance, like that shit, like the stuff that's just like gone viral, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like I can't describe why it freaks me out. So like,
it just feels like an old person like experiencing something that's viral and weird.
It's just it
to
is
you,
totally
yeah.
one of those moments. Yeah.
It's
And
funny that it's
but
like how they primarily communicate. Like that's an extravagant amount of body language to communicate that you really like something.
You're right. You can't just walk up and talk to somebody.
It's better than like giving a thumbs up. You know what I mean? Like a thumbs up isn't as good as like fucking like floss dancing and shit.
So yeah,
like,
okay. So Jean's sister, Jean brings up a good
Jenna
point where
sisters.
it's like, I'm sure you did stupid fad shit when you were young too. Completely agree. Closest thing I got to was like a Game Boy, a yo-yo, when yo-yos like came back, right?
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything else off the top of my head because I was a weird like punk rock kid, spiked my hair and like, you know, dyed it and shit like that. So yeah, I get it. I understand. So this is like, so I guess my point is, and I think about this all the time, where it's like the fads of what young kids are doing today, where I'm just like, you're just a little kid, you know, is
back in my
just
day.
the same thing, right? Back in my day, we had to communicate face to face, and we had to text using the T9 like, you know, one keypad, you know, so that was like kind of like I get that.
Back
so
in my
it's
day,
just,
we'd spell boobies 8008,
and then we would flip the calculators upside down,
and you would laugh
like,
because it said boobies.
And you'd be 12 years old giggling at that, right? You know, like, so I totally get the, you know, but it's really cool how it's like, well, I guess I not necessarily cool, but what I see more and more is like what our generation would be is more accepting and the understanding of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we get
Like
to see it
music,
online
like,
prior to like it happening to kids. You know
But
what I mean?
it's-
It's
but
not
it's
like
not only
it's not
that.
like people
Yeah.
drawing the S. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about with like the
Yeah, like
fucking
in
like
your
where did that
notebook,
come
yeah.
from? Who knows? Blah blah blah. But like now, if something like
Yeah.
goes viral, it's because it was online primarily. It wasn't
Right.
like some kid
And
thought of
that's
it
the
and then a
thing.
kid and got
But
it.
I think it's like, I think our generation is like consciously understanding that more,
Yeah.
rather than because you know, the older generation before us kind of looked at us when we would do some sort of fad thing and be like, you're full of shit, you're stupid, you don't get it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you'd be like, fuck you, man, I'm gonna keep going doing my thing. And then like, but I think younger kids now, like they'll get a lot of that. Like the music of, you know, kids nowadays is bullshit, all that kind of stuff. I get that, but I'm also conscious of it. I don't know where this conversation is going, so I'm going
It's
to.
okay. We were talking about dabbing and then we got.
Shut it down.
But that
So-
that was my week
Hey,
or
and that's
so.
the 2 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, I got my
Half an
Twitch.
hour.
We got. Did I tell you I got we hit our goal for TwitchCon, so I'm going to TwitchCon.
Holy shit! Really,
Yeah.
dude? Like that's amazing.
Yeah. So we donated half the money that we made, $500 to Maps. So we're at 70% to goal.
You made the goal.
$1,000. Yep.
Holy shit!
Thanks to all these
Okay.
beautiful people. So now we're gonna do a week. It's gonna be in October where we do a week of streaming with makeup on
Holy shit!
and play video
That's
games.
hilarious.
So
I'm gonna take this moment because I did no work related to that. I'm gonna take a moment. Okay.
go ahead.
for one group of people and then one single person. So group of people, for all of you in the stream, in the chat, and for those of you that you know that are not in the chat that may have donated, that may have put money towards that, much respect. Okay. So for those of you that donated for it, because like, you know, Steve has like a lot of passions and ambitions for meeting people and expanding the chat and like the stream and stuff. So for those of you that like contributed to that is amazing. Second thing, Steve, got to pay you respects too, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Okay, you are killing it. Okay, this is you and me right now. All right,
Not
this
you
chat's
guys.
not
Don't
watching.
even fucking.
40,
don't even.
47 people are not watching. Okay, they're not watching right now. It's just you and me. Okay, you're doing a great job. I'm proud of you. Okay.
Thanks, man. I love
You're
you,
doing
dude.
so good. You're so positive. Stay positive. Don't change who you are. All right, keep being who you are. Be fun.
Never.
Be weird.
I want more
right?
pictures of Spider-Man.
If you if you lose yourself in this,
You better call me
vortex
out.
of an internet. Yeah, I'm going to call you out. If you lose yourself in this vortex of the internet, I'm going to come after you.
Dude,
I will
fucking.
I will cut your butt off.
How will I sit down?
I will cut your butt off if you get soaked into it. But this is awesome. So respect to all you guys.
Thank you. Jordan,
okay.
Jordan, and
No.
for $10, you're not gonna dab.
Wait, I see 5.
They'll match it if you dab.
Okay, if all right, this is weird. This is weird. Okay, I'm gonna absorb this for a second. This is weird. If I do this, the money, Steve, goes to what?
Maps.
And explain real quick to the people what Maps is and where it's going.
Yeah, so really quick for everyone in here. Bam. MAPS,
Okay.
the Multi-Disciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, is a organization that studies psychedelics and how they could benefit humanity. Basically, the way the charity works and what we're helping fund towards is their phase 3 clinical trials of MDMA-assisted psychotherapy. They have a treatment that cures PTSD. So for those of you guys who don't know what PTSD is, post-traumatic stress disorder happens when you have a traumatic event happen in your life. It could be from war. It could be from child abuse. There's a multitude of different reasons why you would get it. But the key mechanism for PTSD is the trauma is stuck in the short-term memory part of the brain. So it could be relived at any moment, at any time, if a trigger happens. Best example of this is like a firework going off on 4th of July near a veteran who's experienced war. They're instantly transported back to that terrible moment, and having to relive that over and over again is extremely debilitating. It's one of the highest reasons for suicide among veterans. Lost my train of thought for a second. So what the MDMA does in assistance with this, MDMA is normally a psychedelic compound used for partying, and I say that in quotes because it's not just for use for that. It helps aid the movement of that short-term memory.
That's the stereotype of it, yeah.
Right. It helps aid the movement of that trauma into the long-term memory part of the brain, meaning that they no longer have PTSD once that occurs. And it happens, based on their studies, by the 11th or 12th session, 85 to 90% of the time, which is insanely high for a study that was recently done within the past, 3-4 years or whatever. And they've been continuing to do this. That money will help them continue the research. They'll go on to get FDA approval, and then people all over, the United States can have this treatment to cure themselves with PTSD. And when I say cure, I'm not talking about they're finished with therapy. They continue therapy and then have to take some sort of medication or antipsychotics. They are literally done with everything. They do not have PTSD anymore. They'll contact these people 3 to 4 years later after they finish their therapy sessions and have passed what they consider, not having PTSD. And they're fine. No triggers, no reliving the terrible trauma that they had. Yeah. They have that memory in the long-term memory part of the brain. They're done. And that's it.
There's what was super crazy is I was scrolling through Reddit recently, and that whole idea and Maps is coming more into the light.
Yeah.
So there's more times, there's more shining on that concept of using MDMA is just to treat a lot of different illnesses, like mental illnesses. So I'm a skeptic to a lot of degrees, but this is something that I know will probably become pretty confident and pretty serious in the long run. That and a lot once we get the ability to start studying a lot of these drugs, truly studying them, then I think we're gonna find a lot of positive out of it. So speaking of positive, do I have to do this still? Do I have to,
for $10 towards Maps? Dude, it's up to you.
So for those of you in the chat, I don't think I've ever done a dab before. Not the drug, right? As we know,
not a drug dab. We're talking about the fucking
drug dab.
Drew P. dab.
The whatever kids do, So, I again don't know what it means, but
Jordan says he wants the floss dance.
Okay, let's get this. This is embarrassing. It's super embarrassing, but you know what? I have a lot of confidence in myself. Okay,
I have confidence in you.
And I know who I am, and I know what I stand for. Okay.
He's not saying that for you guys. He's saying this for himself because he's about to do something that it goes against his entire personality.
I need to just get this out because this is just.
You guys are about to see an ego death.
Ego death 100%. So listen. Oh God.
So you have to do a dab and the floss dance?
Okay, I'll figure it out. So So thankfully, I
Liquid courage.
got a growler of beer before this, and I've drank probably half of it. So that probably brings some context to a lot of this. So, all right. So is it one of those, like, I don't know if the camera will catch it, but is it one of those, like, one of those things, right?
Yeah,
Is
but
that
you
how
got to
it
do it
goes?
on an angle, and you got to make sure your arm is like
Is it like that? Is it like, am I doing it right?
turned this way so we can see that you're actually careful your arm and don't knock over anything when you go back.
Can't knock any over my collectibles. Just dabbing. Is this the?
He's doing it.
Is this the?
That's it.
Is this the thing? Right? Is this what kids?
Drew says
kids
he's
do?
practiced before. It doesn't look like somebody who's done a dab for a new time.
Well, so that's
Do you know how to do the floss dance?
Oh God, is it? I like this. That's like. It's
Yes.
just literally this thing, right? It's
yes.
like that.
You
thing,
like
right?
move your. Yep.
Hand-eye coordination, y'all. Hand-eye coordination. Okay, I'm done. I got it. I'm sorry.
That's amazing.
If that donations don't go into those cups, and if those donations don't go towards really, really good stuff, someone's gonna be pissed, and that person that's gonna be pissed is gonna be me.
You guys can donate directly through that link, or if you give me the money, I can donate on your behalf, whatever you want to do.
Oh no!
It's been clipped.
You fucking pile of shit. Okay, like, am I doing it right?
Lee knows
Turn
the
dab.
this way so we can see that you're actually careful.
Okay,
Your
no,
arm
I'm not
and don't
ashamed.
knock over
Listen,
anything.
I have confidence in myself. Here's a life lesson for everybody, okay? Sometimes you got to live life and you got to do things that you really don't want to do. You know, you gotta step out of your own norms, step into some weird territory. Yeah, I did it. Not too proud of it, but that's okay. You know why I did it? Positive reasons, and for the donations going to the right place, right?
Right.
Doing it for charity. There's plenty of things people will do for charity. Let's just put it that way, right?
True that. They'll dump a cold ice bucket on all over themselves.
Steve?
Yeah.
Can we move on, please?
Yeah, of course. So Lee, let's start with your scientific topic because it's fucking exciting.
Okay. So we're gonna get into the scientific topics of the eve. You know, again, as Steve said at the top of the show, this is a science-fueled discussion topics kind of podcast. So what would that be without some delicious science? So the one that I found, just because we've been off for a little bit, the one that I found is actually centered around. I found this article on Arizona.edu because they're helping fund and fuel this project. It's the Giant Magellan Telescope. Okay, so this is supposed to be a telescope that is that just started construction. That's why I wanted to bring it up. So it just started construction, and it's a giant telescope that is going to be 10 times sharper than the Hubble telescope right now.
10 times?
So, 10 times, right? Now this is going to be a
I
telescope.
thought it was like 10,000 times.
It's just 10 times, but still 10
Damn.
times if you think about it. If you think about it in the context of space and science, like if you look at, so like if the stuff that's taken from the Hubble telescope, if you look at like a star from like, you know, billions of galaxies, you know, or like light years away, it's just like a blob of light usually. So any sort, like 1 times sharper is already such a huge development in science.
Yeah.
So 10 times that kind of sharpness is going to be just completely mind-blowing. And what's also fascinating about this is that this is going to be built on the ground as opposed to the Hubble telescope being in orbit, which is also fascinating because, as we all know, there's the our atmosphere and things like clouds and stuff like that can get in the way of that clearness. So even being on the ground, this thing is going to get still 10 times sharper than the Hubble telescope. So a couple things just to note. The Giant Magellan Telescope Organization announced Wednesday that its 11 international partners have committed to more than $500 million.
Yes.
To begin construction. But in context, $500 million.
It's a lot of money.
Compared to a lot of, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. but compared to a lot of like multi-billion-dollar corporations and now trillion-dollar corporations, it's just like, it's weird how seemingly little money it takes to like develop so much science. But anyway, so $500 million to begin construction of the first of a new generation of extremely large telescopes. Once it's built, the giant Magellan telescope is poised to be the largest optical telescope in the world. Okay, so right now there's a lot of telescopes that are like on like very high peaks, like there's one in Hawaii.
Yep.
I think there's one in South America somewhere.
Yep.
In Brazil or something like that. So like these different high peaks, so that it's just obviously closer to see things. Like use your telescope to get a little bit higher out there. So this one is going to be like surpass all of that. The most giant telescope. Oh god, it's just so buttery smooth. I can't wait. So obviously this is going to take a lot of years. So it's going to.
Does it have a picture or anything?
Yeah, so there's let me send it to you.
You can do it via the messages in the Hangouts.
Cool.
So I can grab it right away.
Let me do this. Giant Magellan. Now, for the chat, I want this to be discussed in the chat real quick. Why do you guys think it's called the Magellan? The giant Magellan. What's the significance of Magellan in the sense of
I found it.
Discovery? And yeah, you did? Okay, cool. Yeah, if you could pull that up. A little picky pick.
Holy shit. They're not kidding when they say this is giant.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty incredible. So, yeah, so it's going to be huge. And I lost my article. Damn it. It's okay. I can find it because the power of the internet is an amazing thing. So, oh boy. And again, from a credible source.
Magellan was the first one around the Earth, question mark?
What's that?
Magellan was the first one around the Earth.
Magical.
Drew, on top of it.
You guys are smart as fuck. So, so yeah, so there's some construction sites. Oh, this is beautiful. So if you guys wanted to take a look a little bit further as to what some of this is about, if you go to gmto.org, which is the Giant Magellan Telescope organization, so this can show you all of the information on the telescope and its construction, all the progress for it. But again, it's a very significant time because the construction is starting now. Mm-hmm. And with the unfortunate news of the James Webb telescope being delayed in its construction, which that one is supposed to go into orbit and be like an ultimate, like brand spanking new whip for telescopes. But this is actually pretty exciting. But it said it's going to be finished construction around 2021, so it's going to be a few years until it's finalized. But at least, regardless, I think it's going to be so good. And just whenever you see a lot of this technology, this is something that I've kind of noticed whenever I see these things being built. And this will go into another discussion that I was thinking about a documentary that I saw. Is like when you look at a piece of like scientific technology, you look at it. At least, you know, from a naked eye, like you look at it kind of objectively. And for people that kind of don't understand the technology of how it's built and stuff like that, you're just like, oh, this looks like a jumbled piece of, you know, like metal and tubes and stuff like that. But each element and piece is so meticulously constructed and refined that it's just like amazing to see it finally come together. So I'm very, very excited about this. So like the Giant Magellan Telescope is happening. Nice. Yeah, keep an eye on it, guys. This is a big deal. Ooh-wee. Here, let me see if I could. Let me send you this real quick. Oh no. I don't know if it's gonna work, but let's try it here. We're still up in the chat here. Paste it. Did it work? No.
Wait,
didn't work.
Christy, it looks like you
didn't work.
Christy donated and says Christy dig Bic.
Okay.
Instead of big dick. It said big dick energy.
Dig Bic. I'm down for that.
There was this guy we were interviewing in the game called Richard Coombs. So Dick Coombs.
Oh God.
Sorry.
You silly goobs.
$20 for a dab? Dude, I'll fucking dab as many times as you want me to for
Steve,
$20. I'm selling out.
It's your tune, it's not me. But anyway, so like before we start dabbing a little more for money, which is just like so hilariously aside from the point of talking about science.
Sorry,
distraction, guys.
I'm getting distracted.
It's okay. But yeah, just overall, just to kind of wrap that up, is like the giant Magellan telescope. So that and the James Webb telescope, please look that stuff up. Follow it in any way you can, because it's going to be like, we're going to start getting pictures that are completely something that we have never, ever, quite literally, in the history of our planet, ever seen before. That's what this stuff is going to create, which I think is just the ultimate
like those pictures of
stuff.
Saturn.
So like for example, so like if anyone looks up 4K video footage from the International Space Station, it's a perfect example, right? When you look at like old footage of orbit or anything in space, it's like kind of gets grainy, it's a little garbage, but when you see 4K footage of Earth that's real and sometimes live
and not flat,
super round, that's when it just gets completely just awe-inspiring. So it's that kind of excitement where it's like you can like to see things for the first time in the history of humanity. It's just like so cool.
Agreed.
Fuck, I'm sweating because I'm so excited. So
dude, no worries. Worries. That's awesome.
There's that. Yeah. So that's kind of one element of the exciting science nature that we got going on. So gmto.org for more information on the giant Magellan
Here, I'll
telescope.
post it in the chat for you guys. Boop. If you guys want to check it out.
Riley did too. But yeah, much appreciated. Check it out. It's incredible.
And again, thank you for those people who are like explaining what we're doing right now to all the new people coming in and being so welcoming. It really is helping the show out like more than you know. Cool. So my article that I'm talking about tends to be a little bit more psychedelic, in this case, political. So California lawmakers are creating a bill right now to erase or reduce tens of thousands of marijuana criminal convictions. It was approved this past Wednesday and now awaits government Jerry Brown's signature. That's huge.
Getting closer and closer, dude. Closer and closer.
I can't so when it comes down to the drug war and all of that stuff, we had an entire separate episode on addiction, drugs, the drug war, what it actually does, and how it can negatively affect a lot of people. And as many people may or may not be aware of, depending on the state you live in, you may have been convicted of possession. Most of the people in America are in prison for nonviolent drug charges, and most of them have to do with cannabis or marijuana. So you're talking about setting a example for every other state that has been legalized or that has legalized cannabis and is now going to possibly reverse those charges. That's a huge deal, man. You're talking about reversing all the damage that people have done. What I'm hoping that this bill also details, because it doesn't the thing it doesn't mention at all about is the precautions that they're going to take when they release these people. Like, and when I say precautions, I mean being that the conviction's been erased, how do we give back to these people that have been stuck in prison this entire time? How are they going to go about supporting these individuals who no longer have convictions but are going to be looking for jobs? How are they going to reassociate with themselves with society? What sort of therapy or whatever is going to be available to them? There's a lot of questions that I have as to how they're going to handle the release of all these people. But it's definitely a move in the right direction, I think. What do you think about this? I
agree with you 100%. Because like one of the documentaries that I've seen is like I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it's called The 13th, which is a documentary that just really connects like old like original slavery to how the prison system is today. And it's like, and it is unbelievably fascinating because it's like you're seeing the birth of just like this racism and like how we're just kind of almost brainwashed into thinking a particular way about the African American community and the Hispanic community and stuff. So to see these different steps that are leading towards, decriminalizing marijuana and decriminalizing, these just this plant that doesn't seem to do as much harm as people think it does. then it's pretty amazing to see. So I was just in California not too long ago for my bachelor weekend. So what I was thinking about with this article, and then just kind of in general, is like, so they've legalized cannabis. So it's like you could walk into a store, give me a joint, cool, see you later, have a good day, which is a weird thing. But it's like for them to take that next step to then taking, okay, so now, cannabis going forward is not a criminal offense. Now we have to think about all the criminal offenses that have happened already. So they're starting this trend, and I know California kind of, I don't want to say like holds themselves as higher. I mean, they hold themselves to a higher standard, but like they also have kind of like some bragging rights to a degree, where they are breaking a lot of these rules and breaking these bounds and kind of, shaping the potential future of our society. I think they're doing a little bit arrogantly to a degree for some people, but I think in the bigger picture, it's going to break down a lot of walls and like set some trends for other people. Cause like, with this, and this obviously isn't in law yet, and it's not really, it's not 100% just yet until they actually start doing it. But if you think Colorado has had legal cannabis before California has, and they haven't taken those, extra steps to decriminalizing it to a degree where you have people in prison because of it, right, and to get them out. So like, so I'm just interested to see like anything they could do to kind of just shake shit up, for the better of mankind, then go for it. Like that's the intention.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. I think this is a really good standard to like have, and a good message to send out to other states that like, yes, these people were put in prison originally for drug possession, but not all of them were put in because they were violent or because like as the times change, so do the laws need to be changed. And the fact that they're so willing to do that is a really big thing, in my opinion, because then people start re-looking at all the other archaic ways we're handling the system. Because during our addiction episode, we talked an awful lot about, how when you're the main source of addiction is a disconnection from society. It's not something that's hereditary or disease. It's a cause of a disconnect between the people around you and the network of friends or family members that you may or may not have. And to separate that person even more by putting them into a cell and in a prison with other people who are also separated and abused and terrorized to a certain extent, and then keeping them locked away does far more damage than what the drug that they originally went in there for does. You know what I mean? So it's a weird system. What we should be doing is rehabilitating these people, and I hope that after this there's some sort of legislation that comes into play of like, how do we reassociate these people back into society after being neglected and taken away from everyone for so long. Because it's hard. I mean, half the reason why people are homeless or out on the streets at all, or can't, maintain themselves in society and then go back to prison is because coping with the idea that there's no longer a regiment or people telling you what to do, and you're left up to your own vices. Like, where are you going to be taken, and where's your mind going to go? It could be something pretty bad.
Just a quick little side note. So just keeping an eye on the chat too. So Jordan brings up a good point here. So I'd say it depends on the severity, as far as like that legality and stuff. So huge weed dealers at the same time were willing and knowingly breaking the laws. Now, I'll respectively understand, but I'll understand what you're saying with that kind of statement. But I think in the bigger picture, when you look at that stuff, like no one willingly wants to create or to commit crimes, right? Like if they know, like if I know driving a car into a crowd of people is illegal and like could kill somebody and stuff like that, like I wouldn't willingly do it. I think a lot of these weed dealers and people who sell drugs and stuff like that don't necessarily do it with the understanding like I'm just fighting the law. A lot of the people have to do it. Like they have to, because that's their only outlet for income. That is the only thing, So it's like, especially in a lot of these and a lot of black communities now, it's like you have no other choice because you can't get a normal job because you've been discriminated against and you're not getting hired because society has built this picture for you instead of who you actually are. so they cannot get jobs that pay well, so they have no other choice but to just get into selling drugs.
Yeah, and there's no good places to work in these places that are impoverished.
Exactly. So
it's a
there's
vicious
so many
cycle.
more elements. It's so many more elements than just weed dealers willingly and knowingly break the laws. I think it's looking at the bigger picture for why do people sell drugs? Why do people do that? So getting to the point where it's like, if we don't, I think if we make, drugs like cannabis legal, countrywide, that'll get to the point where people don't have to sell it. And it might shift the direction of our perception of drugs and selling drugs, right?
It also changes the perspective of like what drugs are too, because the narrative for so long has been, drugs are the reason people are this and people are that, but that's not what drugs are for and why they exist. It's a completely separate issue, and we're not willing to look at it because, we were told this is how things are, and this is how things are, and this is how things are, and over and over and over again. But there's no question to the authority or why these things were put into place, or actually looking at, what the reason behind these laws are. The perspective is it's to protect us, but it's not really protecting us. It's disenfranchising people. It's discluding huge amounts of walks of life. It's separating people from society and taking the unwanted away from like the ideal world, which is not how it should be working at all. And we can see this in countries that aren't our own, that are handling drug legalization, decriminalization, and treatment for addiction in a lot more of an understanding and empathetic way than we are.
Yeah, it's like it's obviously a very complex thing to talk about, like for all these shifts in our society for drugs and stuff. But again, like Jordan, we got a dialogue going now, so
and these questions are great because they are the way you guys.
This is the kind of discussion that we like to have. But but again, I would encourage, like, the 13th for me being a middle-aged white guy that grew up in suburban Chicago, like for me it really painted that picture from A to now, as to why this exists, because it's selling drugs and killing people over drugs, ruining families and all that stuff. Like, you think that everybody wants to do this? No, absolutely not, right? And then someone else brought up a point where it's like, what about the people that lace drugs and it kills people, right?
Well, to be fair, like, the reason that is a result of the illegalization of drugs and not the legalization of it.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to
buy it,
like fentanyl overdose and like heroin, like that sort of thing, that's directly tied to the illegality of drugs, because the substances aren't being controlled, they are unclean, and they are not used for the purposes that, like, of recreation or treatment of like pain, like they should be in certain sense. And when I say should be, like, I know it sounds crazy, but we've talked about this before, you can use drugs recreationally regardless of the kind of drug. And what we're told is the chemical hooks of the drug is what causes people to come back to said drug, but that's not the case. Again, it's a disconnection from society and the place and the environment around them. If those people were able to do these safe, clean drugs in an environment that allowed them to get therapy, get help, like they do over in different countries, you would see a lot higher turnover rate of people with less addiction, less need for substances, and a greater connection to the society and people around them.
Yeah. There's so the like with that in mind, Steve, just as you're saying, like, there's this kind of approach that I have, even just like walking the streets of Chicago and stuff like that.
Right.
Is I have a buddy of mine, close buddy of mine, Mike, that as kind of a joke, right? He starts it as a joke, but then at the same time you kind of think about it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Is that you look at somebody who's weird, right? Let's say if you're walking down the street downtown Chicago and you see some guy strung out on heroin or whatever, it's like, hey man, you got $1? You got $1? And then they're just like all like kind of weird in your face. Your instinct and your reaction immediately is just like, yo, get away from me. You're weird. You're on drugs. I don't want to talk to you. Get away from me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's that societal push that you're like supposed to react that way. Now, you obviously don't have to you don't have to put yourself in their shoe, put yourself in the interaction. But like my buddy Mike, he'll go to someone like that. Me just like, who hurt you? Like if you just ask like, who hurt you? Like, again, he says it as a joke to a lot of people, but at the same time, it's like something happened to you that got you to this point.
Yeah, they didn't exist like that permanently.
Right, so it's like,
and a lot of them are like veterans
that
and people with mental illness who have been like,
right,
who can't afford to be taken care of. We don't have universal basic income or basic health care, so these people are left to their own vices. Maybe they don't even, even if we did have that, those resources aren't readily available, or maybe the quality of those resources are not enough for the amount of issues that we have.
Yeah,
Jordan.
It's like a fascinating thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Jordan has another good point. I think we kind of touched on it, but what is the difference between a guy who needs to sell weed as their only source of income versus a homeless man who needs to steal in order to get food in their stomach? Should they be pardoned for stealing? It's not so much pardon, but it's just like, what's the reason behind it? How much did they steal? Was somebody hurt? There's a lot of variables to that question, but the easy thing is obviously that person needs help. And if they're resorting to stealing to get something that they need on their day-to-day basis, where it's medicine, food, whatever, then we seriously need to question what sort of society we live in where we can't provide that to everyone. Because I think we can all agree here, regardless of who you are as a person, what you're comprised of, your ideals, whatever, everyone deserves a place to sleep, eat, and be safe. You need those things in order to thrive as a human being. The fundamentals of you surviving as a human being, it's necessary for those things to be in place. And if they're not in place, that's where the dystopian shit starts to come in.
Right. And I think to add to that is like, if you think about the context of releasing people for criminal charges against, cannabis possession or selling, in a state that legalizes it, you just kind of have to look at it objectively and be like, so if I'm in jail for cannabis possession or something like that in a state that legalized it, like it's taking another look at it. So like you're talking about evolving the law to a degree because of the changes that have been made. Then you have to look at the people that are already in jail as opposed to the people that you're going to put in jail about something like cannabis. So it's like it's a shift, man. It's like it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some time to adjust. The way that I look at it too is like I was listening to we don't have to get like too far down the political rabbit hole here, but like I was looking at or listening to a couple of podcasts today. I think it was today because of everything that's going on with the Trump administration and Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen and like all this other stuff, and the topic of like a president to become indicted. They say that it's impossible and stuff like that, but then it's like you look at it objectively and it's like, why? Mm-hmm. You're kind of questioning why does that rule exist? Why does that, where did that rule come from? What was the context of society at the time it came about? And not only that, but how can you evolve that same concept or law or topic or something like that for today's modern society? So I think it's, there's more and more people that are asking why, which I love. And, because, and I know you and I probably are guilty of this too, where it's like, you kind of go for the flow that you're like, everything's getting taken care of because the laws had to have been made for a reason, man. So you have to follow the law. Right. And so it takes that point where it's like, you gotta think and be like, what's different, know, and then question, how can this evolve and how can this change?
Right. And that's why, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because just the simple thing of like reversing, somebody's possession charges for a non-violent drug charge or whatever it is. Yeah. That's a good step in that direction.
It's gonna evolve. It's gonna be crazy, here in Illinois. So medical cannabis is legal, but not recreational. But like, for example, like I take CBD to help with my ADD and ADHD. And like, for a second I had to be like, where should I go, man?
Right.
Yo, you got that hookup for that CBD?
Mm-hmm.
You got that
Yeah, and
CBD?
you can get in trouble, depending on the state that you're in, right?
Right.
And Genesis,
so I just want to be able to help myself, So
just to address a point too. So I honestly don't think it's a thing. This is what Genesis was saying, I honestly don't think it's a thing that the government needs to monitor / mandate. It's a human heart / compassion issue. We aren't ready or willing to help one another in a lot of situations. There are plenty of social experiments where people actively go out of their way to avoid someone in obvious trouble rather than help them. Well, that could also be because of the lack of experience, but there was a study, and I can't remember exactly what it was. It was about whether people were trained on CPR or not, and if they were trained on CPR and the signs of choking, how likely they would be to help another person. And if they were trained, they would help them. It was like the rate at which somebody would help was like above 90% if they were properly trained. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I'm sure depending on the situation, if you're not willing to put yourself in danger to help somebody, that's an entirely different situation. If we're talking about, like the whole fight, flight, or cope mechanism, like those things are very real. And if there's like a gunman or something, I don't know many people who are willing to, run against that and try to protect people. You have your own family and like things to worry about. But in a situation where people have the proper training and can be confident in a situation where, these things are going on, like a fire drill or whatever, tornado drill, like you would do in school. Those things are practiced and it becomes familiar. And when I think the role that the government has to play is that it sets the structure for how things are going to be handled. So, I agree with you that they shouldn't necessarily be in control and mandating things like, drug use, for example. You shouldn't have, for me, I think drug illegalization defeats the entire purpose of figuring this out. That's why, MAPS is doing this whole thing with MDMA psychotherapy. Like the fact that that's so successful, and other countries are treating people with heroin addiction and getting them reassociated with society and getting them jobs. And some of these people are leaving rehabilitation, and that's what it is, rehabilitation. It's not jail time. Right. They're getting back into society and making their own businesses and all that stuff. So it's definitely like a multifaceted issue, but I definitely would recommend you look into some of the stuff they're doing overseas, and you'll see like a lot of that stuff.
Research dog. Yeah.
Stoate says
there's a quick thing from Little Bite that's saying that like that you don't agree with legalization for cannabis because that's the only good bud is privately grown. I don't know if you've noticed, man, but like everybody is all doing locally farmed, locally sourced, privately grown, like these kind of things for everything else, even but aside from cannabis. So like, that dispensaries will probably be and advertise like, this is growing in my backyard, man. Like it's gonna be totally like that too. So I don't think that the quality is gonna take a hit in any sense really. So who knows? Someone can make a hyper cannabis, dude. Some sort of ultra cannabis that takes us to the moon and back. We'll see.
Sorry about that, Yukisu. That like saying something like that in the chat room out of context could get you in trouble, and I don't want you to be in trouble. Okay, that's the only reason why I removed that. Riley says you can use a defib even if not trained to save life in the the training is non-applicable. Agreed, but the likelihood you would use a device you're unfamiliar with is very low, especially if you haven't been through the situation before. I'm more referring to physical disabilities or like someone crying in public than life-threatening situations. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would see that. I mean, if you're busy, you got your own life, right? Yeah.
Can you guys totally hear the cicadas in the background? Can you hear them cicadas?
They're outside my apartment. I think they can only hear
outside mine, dude. This is a little Midwestern thing.
I can't hear
Midwestian.
it. I can't hear it, but
hear
I mean, you guys could probably hear them when I'm talking.
I got some crazy cicadas going on in the background. There's a little thing that happens in the Midwest every like 7 years.
Yeah, but it's not
We're
this.
just like a
it's
swarm.
not these years.
I know, but we got cicadas now.
It's because of the global warming. Some of them are coming out earlier in batches.
Ooh, that's another.
Dude, every 7 years, it's like
conversation.
insane how many are on the ground. It's nuts.
Like piles of it on the ground. It's insane. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But it's like, so like I was just thinking about this, totally side tangent real quick here. So I was like kind of walking down the street just around my apartment and stuff. And I just like hear these cicadas and like, because, you and I grew up in the, Chicagoland area, like we're used to the sound of cicadas.
Yeah.
Right. You kind of walk around and it's just you just drown it out because you're just used to it. Whereas if you go, so like when I was in San Francisco, they don't have any insects out there because there's too much wind, it's too cold, it's too rainy and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fascinating to just hear nothing in San Francisco. So I thought that was like super fascinating, like kind of the contrast of sounds coming from San Francisco versus Chicago. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Little Bite says, I have a question on that. If recreational marijuana is legalized, won't the government hop in and control who grows it and how it... They already do.
See, now they may, but at the same time, it's like...
There's regulations, but it's not controlled.
The only way that I could, you know, kind of put that into context is thinking about existing companies now. So think about the beer industry. Is like the beer industry and the craft beer industry is massive right now, right? It's like, but at the same time, these are local companies that are, you know, finding locally sourced ingredients that are creating a legal product that they could legally sell. Right. And it like, it truly is no different, you know, if you think about it that way. So yes, they could regulate it and they could do some things here and there about it. We obviously don't know because it's not, you know, far nationwide legalized. It's not far enough along, but like, I just compare it. Like if it was legalized, I have to compare it to everything else. Think about like meat now, right? It's like, if you think about meat, a lot of right now it's bullshit and it's like, it's garbage and all the meat is terrible and all that kind of stuff. But
if you'd like to get non-garbage meat, look in the info panel. You can get free New York strips, steaks, and bacon with my promotional code.
Killer shout out, dude.
Yeah. Butcher box.
But that's the same kind of idea. Is like you're getting more of these companies that are offering like locally grown, locally sourced, and all that kind of stuff. And then you're getting more of a society. I live in like a super hipster neighborhood in Chicago, right? And everybody is like, I want something that was grown in my backyard, man. And I want something that was like locally sourced and not, you know, regulated and stuff like that. So there's more and more companies that are doing that. Like, this is gonna be the most hipster thing that I've ever said.
Surprisingly, with cannabis in particular, there's not a whole lot of. It's weird because you think like the stereotypical hippie thing is like, oh, organic and fucking self-grown and made with love. Like that shit is like it's very deep rooted in cannabis culture, and anybody who would change that, I don't think they would be successful. Like if you saw fucking Camel cigarettes like starting to sell packs of joints, I think people would buy them for sure. I don't think they would be as big as like a traditional grower or like whatever. But yeah, go ahead, Lee. Sorry I interrupted you.
I have to get this out of my head because it's like the most hipster thing I could say right now. So my downstairs neighbors, we have a fairly large backyard for Chicago standards. So my downstairs neighbors have a backyard and they grow herbs, and they have 2 chickens in our backyard, and they grow herbs for the restaurant that's kitty corner to my apartment.
Which is awesome.
Right? So like talk about like locally sourced and like really going, you know, a very close distance. So like if that could happen legally, then what would stop a lot of companies from doing that too? And then you get the quality out of something that was grown and the appreciation of something that was grown across the street or in the town over or just locally. So I think it's gonna get to that point where more and more people will appreciate that, and it's just gonna get more and more respected. So matter of time. I think we're so used to like corporate control. We're so used to, you know, soda and like, you know, all these other different like kind of things we ingest that is so massively produced. We're so used to that. That once you start getting the quality and the appreciation out of locally stuff, like grown stuff or made stuff, boom, you won't go back. Like that's it, man. So yeah,
cool. I think this is a good part for Q&A. I feel like this is a great, like, we had a great conversation with you guys. Thank you so much for involving yourselves and stimulating the conversation even further than just the article and what we talked about. Does anybody have any questions related to the telescope that we talked about, the new one, the not decriminalization, but the bill to erase old cannabis, marijuana convictions? Does anybody have any questions about what we went over, or any questions for us before we end the cast?
Yeah. I do appreciate everybody going in. Like, it's crazy that time flies like this. Like, we started about an hour and a half ago, which is crazy. So yeah, we'd love to take the time for it. So do you think aliens watch porn of their own? I guess that I guess that will depend on if that alien species relied on procreation to advance their species, and also if their procreation was for pleasure versus just procreation. If it was for pleasure, then yes, I'm sure they watch porn of their own. That's the best way I could describe it. So
Boston said, so I'm waiting to see Monday if I'm able to use CBD oil without having the struggle of failing a drug test just to help out constant pains and losing 8 years of employment. You actually can. So CBD is, in order for it to be called CBD, it is less than 1% of THC. All drug tests, urine tests, and I think even blood tests, you have to get over 5% or something to trigger a positive on that. And then the nice thing about CBD too is it takes all the positive effects of cannabis without being high. So what I mean by that is there's no euphoria or anything like that. You just get the muscle relaxation, the anti-inflammatory response, all the benefits. I guess the trade is that the dosages tend to be a bit higher. But that's the only trade-off.
Right. That's the only thing, because I do it fairly regularly to help me with like focus and kind of collecting my thoughts and stuff like that. So light every morning is really kind of how I do it, but it just depends on the person, I suppose. But Gene Sisters here. Is it Gene Sisters?
Genesis Sisters.
Genesis Sisters. I got it.
Like Genesis, Sega Genesis.
I get it. I understand now. I like that. I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of cannabis for myself, and will never do it for my own reasons. But it's not my place to tell someone else they can't. And that's my only way I take on it.
Yeah, it's like drinking or coffee.
Agreed. So when I was going through high school, at the peak of people smoking dope, drinking beers, and stuff like that, I was a straight edge kid for the longest time. I was like a kid that just did not. I was that kid that was like, "Fuck you for getting drunk and getting high." Because I didn't understand it, because I objectified and I just saw the worst of the worst from my own growing up and stuff like that, my own family environment and everything. I just saw the worst of it. So I had that perception, and it's completely okay to think that way. You just have to make sure that you're understanding that it is everybody else's decision to do the same thing. If you're doing it for the right purposes and it doesn't turn you into a giant piece of shit, then you're in good shape. So, but yeah, it's like you only do it if you need to. You only do it if you feel like you're around comfortable people and like you're around people you love, that'll take care of you and really give you a good experience and stuff. So much respect.
Yeah, I handle it like I know it's kind of weird. I was in the same boat too, for a long time. I had friends who started smoking, and I was like, "You're gonna die from cancer because blah blah blah," and I didn't even. I was uneducated, so after some friends who had been smoking for a long time, I was like, they don't sound any different, and they're not smoking cigarettes, so like, what's going on? Did some research, and I found a bunch of stuff out, and I was like, what the fuck is... I feel like I was lied to, and then I went really hard in the paint with it. I actually abused cannabis for, like 4 or 5 years, so much so that my reputation, even now, is like, Steve, you're a stoner, right? And I'm like, long time ago, man. Like, not anymore.
Yeah. That's the only time, like, if it takes over your life, I think that's an element to it. Not necessarily like I will shun you out of society kind of thing, but just making sure and understanding the level that you're getting it to. If that's like your entire existence is just getting high, like do what you got to do, but my philosophy is
also
like,
understand the reason for it.
Yeah,
because just to share with you guys really quick, and I know I've talked about this on the channel, so I'm not going to go deep into it. The reason why I abused cannabis was because I was in a stressful family situation of abuse, and so that was like an outlet for me to escape. And I lost. I say I lost because I honestly don't remember much of the 3 to 4 years I was working at Best Buy and smoking weed. Like, I don't remember much of that, and it kind of sucks. Like, it's one of those things where I was in a haze and I was using it as an outlet to escape from the abuse that I had been suffering, and like I was using it because I felt like it was part of my identity, and then I also used the knowledge that I had gained about it not being bad for you, quote unquote, as a reason to keep doing it and reinforcing it. Like, nobody dies from this is like, that's when those flags, like, those flags were key indicators that I was on the wrong path, that I was I was abusing a substance that was supposed to be benefiting me, and what it was doing was it was dragging me down, and it was making me disillusioned, and it made me think that it was a part of my identity. It's the same thing with like working out and becoming like a gym rat, quote unquote.
Right.
Like you identify.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, because I think, you know, the thing that I've learned as kind of a newer cannabis experimenter, so is just like, you know, the like when you smoke, it's more of kind of like a personal experience. It's more of like it's for you, you know. Whereas like when you're getting drunk with friends, it's like everyone's getting drunk together. You know what I mean? But it's like,
that's because when you smoke weed, traditionally, it's not in a group of friends because it's illegal.
Right.
You know, and I don't know, you've seen this sort of evolution in people where it's like, you know, you wouldn't talk about if you smoked weed or not. Like it wasn't, you weren't sure if you were safe to do that. But now, like, because of like the relaxation, exactly. Like you would whisper about it, and like you'd be at a concert and smell it, like, ooh, somebody is, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't even say it. But now it's like, do you smoke? Do you want to come out and smoke with us? Like, yeah, I do. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like having a beer.
Yeah, it's still like I still get to those points where it's like I gotta be comfortable with it. I gotta be in the right setting. I gotta be, you know, because it's a different type of experience
for sure.
Totally. So like, I still take that kind of precaution. But I think as with everything, it takes experience. It just takes experience of putting yourself out there like that, but making sure that you're being cautious and safe about it. So anytime that I'm given that scenario, I'm like, can I get home okay? Am I around people I love? Am I not doing anything dangerous? Let's hang out, man.
Yeah,
So,
I think I also like knowing how much you should be doing as well. Like it's kind of like knowing how much you're drinking. Like know your tolerance.
Yeah.
And you don't need to get fucking blitzed. You know what I mean? You can have like a few puffs and get to relax and like enjoy your time and be aware of your surroundings. You don't need to smoke yourself stupid every time. Right. That's another misconception. I think it just comes from like how we traditionally see things as black and white. Like I'm gonna get fucking drunk, like, you know, like that sort of mentality is really easy to indulge into. But like cannabis is one of those things where it's always there's a spectrum to it, and just like you would see like a jock or whatever, like there's certain levels, and there's the full-on stoners who are still trying to figure their shit out and how much they can take and all that stuff, or, you know, like takes it easy every step of the way. And I feel like that's kind of how I am. You know how I indulge. I got my little packs. I do like one or two, and then I'm like chilling, and I'm good. I don't need to like. It's more for like the anxiety situations, and not so that I don't get overwhelmed in a situation where I feel like I'm under stress. It's medicinally used.
I'll usually watch ridiculous movies, such as last Friday, I believe it was.
Yeah,
we watched. Movie. We watched it wasn't the movie last Friday.
Gotcha.
It was on last Friday is when we watched the movies.
Gotcha.
We watched fucking oh man, I got it, don't worry. ADD moment. What's the video game? Rampage. We watched
How was that?
Rampage. It sucks. It's a terrible
of course
movie.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like,
was it like entertaining?
It was awesome. Yeah, it's like visually it's pretty cool, but like it goes south pretty quick.
Oh,
so
I'm sure.
It's kind of silly. But then so we went from.
Do they use the names for the wolves, like Lizzie, Ralph, and George?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, that's awesome.
So that part of the show. And then like I was doing some more digging because I remember playing Rampage, and I was like, there's more characters than just these three. So like, you know, they gotta make another one. They're probably gonna make another one.
Well, there's honestly no more characters, I don't think, unless Rampage 2 had like additional characters, but it was like a lobster and like some other stupid shit.
Dude, yeah, like if you Wikipedia that shit, like you will find a bunch of characters you never knew existed.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. But yeah, so like that kind of experience of just you know, making something a little more sillier than you normally would watch it as, you know. So
agreed.
But what else? What are the questions we got for the team here? We got Gregor rating us with 3 people.
Welcome, shit, sorry, the alerts are disabled for this portion. Welcome in, Tyler.
I'm keeping track.
Gregor, dude, can I get a shout out really quick for Gregor, please?
Yeah. Fucking bringing in 3 people to the party.
Thank you, you guys. Thank you for bringing those people in. You guys are catching us, unfortunately, at the end of the XP Talk Show. We're about to pass it off to somebody. So we're doing like a Q&A. What is what other questions do you guys have for us? Anything in particular?
Give us some questions. If you guys are curious about, maybe about us, something like that. If you guys have questions about us. So how's the talk show going? Talk show going great. It makes me happy that sometimes when I'm talking with somebody over the internet to a computer, I sometimes can't really get comfortable and can't really lose myself in the conversation. But with Steve, man, he makes it easy.
Thanks,
so so like it makes me happy that we can still have a pretty solid show, even not being side by side in the same cockpit. All right. For those of you who are just kind of joining us, this is a paper flower. It's made out of a Star Wars coloring book for my wedding. You're welcome.
Here's a question, Lee. I think you should read the question.
What question we got here? Should Conkey be arrested for being too handsome? That son of a bitch probably should go to jail for it.
Is that mustache regulation size?
That's a regulation mustache right there. That kid's pushing the boundaries. Maybe going to jail, maybe not. Maybe he might go to jail in California. Maybe he might get pardoned. He might get out of jail because that kid's just too goddamn handsome.
You made me fucking blush like a fucking dumbass. Dude. He's a murderer stopping hearts around the world. God damn.
Hot damn.
All right, if there's no other questions for everybody coming in, I'm sorry that you're getting in here at the end of it, but thank you so much for bringing everyone, Tyler. We're gonna raid somebody. God damn it.
Man.
So we're gonna raid somebody. Her name's Mags. She's the Starbucks chick. You guys have seen her raid this channel. Yeah, you're right, Boston. I like using earbuds because the headphones I have a pair of Astros and some really nice headphones, but they hurt my fucking head after I can't stream for hours, let alone stand up and do this shit. It just hurts.
The big over the ear headphones is kind of like,
and I wear glasses too, so it fucks me up because they're pressing into the side of my head.
Dude, I like these because I could just I don't have no cables doing nothing.
Right.
So I
got no strings to hold me down. Sorry, it's
yeah.
We're gonna raid the Starbucks chick. Her name's Mag. She's a huge supporter of me. She raids me all the fucking time. And it's only right that we repay the gal. She's a wonderful person. She also just got a new chair. For the longest time, I was so worried about her because she was playing in a broken chair and it was on an angle. And I was like, your back is gonna be fucked up. Like you could slip a disc if you don't have the proper support. Yeah, we're gonna raid her. You guys again can catch us weekly on the XP Talk Show. Lee, do we have anything? Are we anything in the way next week for next Thursday?
Next week we should be on. Let me just make sure 100% that we're good. We should be good.
Cool.
Because actually the next day, check this out. This is a fun little fact. Probably talk about it next week too. Next Friday, we get to go try. Is it try the beer? I think we're gonna try the beer that we're making for the wedding.
Oh, that's fucking awesome,
dude! We're making a beer for the wedding, and I think we're gonna try it. I don't know if it's that's the day, but that's gonna be a very exciting time.
Dude,
making our own beer.
That sounds great.
So fucking sick.
Awesome. You guys are ready to raid? I hope so. Stick around. I'm gonna be in the chat there for a little bit. But this has been the XP Talk Show. I'm Steve.
I'm Lee.
And we'll catch you guys later.
Join us next week, Thursdays. Check us out.
I love you guys. Bye, guys.